Keith Thurman is back as he defends his WBA welterweight world title against Josesito Lopez on Saturday, January 26th from the Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, New York, and it'll be broadcast live on Fox.
When undefeated WBA welterweight champion Keith one-time Thurman returns after a lengthy injury to defend his title against the Riverside Rocky Josesito Lopez. I want to also acknowledge and thank Brett Yormark, the Chief Executive Officer of BSE Global, for all his support, both the PBC and boxing. Josesito Lopez has a fan-friendly style, and he stepped in the ring against some of the best boxers in this generation. Dan Goosen and I had an opportunity to sign him back in 2011. We had a great ride with him, including that big win over Victor Ortiz at Staples that led into the Canelo Alvarez fight. And at this time, I'd like to introduce Josesito Lopez, the Riverside Rocky.
All right, thanks for everyone to be here. I'm excited. I'm happy to be here. I'd like to thank everyone. Thank the Barclays Center. Thank Al Heyman and the team to make this possible. I'm getting another title shot against a world-class elite fighter, an undefeated fighter, a good fighter in Keith Thurman. I'm excited for this opportunity and make the most of it. I've been here in this same position before. I don't shy away from big battles, and this is definitely one, and one that I'm definitely prepared for. And on January 26th, there's going to be a new world champ. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jose. After a string of injuries, silent for nearly 2 years, Keith Thurman is making his highly anticipated return to the ring to defend his WBA welterweight championship in one of the hottest divisions in boxing. His last 2 fights prior to the injury were hard-fought victories over Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of my favorite fighters in today, and I'm real glad you're back. Keith one-time Thurman, the WBA welterweight champion.
What's up, Brooklyn? You know, it's been a long time, baby. It's been a long time. I'm truly happy to be back, man. I'm just grateful. It's been hard for me not being in the ring, not being in the gym, waiting for the elbow to recover. Then we hop in the gym, we get a hand injury, and it's just like, you know, did I hit my pinnacle beating Danny Garcia or what, you know? And I'm just truly happy to be back. Josesito Lopez, he called me out. He wants this fight. I need a match like this, somebody who's going to be there, somebody who's going to give a good fight for the fans and really just try to take me out. He's been ready for this fight. He looked like he was in shape a month ago when I first saw him, you know? But I feel good. We've been training really hard. We've been lifting weights, just getting back into everything, man, and it just feels tremendous. I'm truly happy to be here, to be back in Brooklyn. Next month, the 26th, you will see the return of the #1 welterweight in the division today.
Gustavo Neri. This question goes both to Keith Thurman and Josesito Lopez. Just looking at the notable names both of you had, Josesito with Canelo and Marcus Maidana, Keith Thurman with Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. If you had to make an argument, who has the advantage in experience coming into this fight, January 26th?
It's hard to say, man. I mean, we've been in the game forever. You know, I felt like a vet when I was a young fighter, you know. I've been around so many boxers, so many great trainers. I'd say the knowledge that's been passed on to me is over 100 years of boxing knowledge, you know. So I'm not worried. All that I know is that I am going to respect the fact that he is experienced. He's been in the ring with multiple punchers. He knows how to hold his own. He comes to create upsets. This is one of the biggest opportunities of his career. I'm just trying to start back and make a statement in my career and let the world know that I'm back. One time is back.
It's hard to say. To see who has the most experience. I think we're both experienced fighters. We've both been with world-class elite fighters. You know, I've definitely had my share of tough, heavy punchers in my career. You know, I'd been in this game for 15 years as a professional, so I've pretty much seen it all. I think Keith Thurman has seen most of it, but come January 26th, he might get into deep waters, and it depends how he'll react and how I'll react when we both get in situations like that.
Sure. Keith, it's John Cudney, right at Boxing. So you've been off for a long time. Must be murder to get the weight off. Just wondering if you give us a comment on how the weight has been going. I know you've had some starts and stops. So you've probably been training, and if you can throw a number out of a recent weight.
I just diet and exercise, man. I'm on schedule. We lose half a pound a day with my regimen, and I never worry about weight because the way I attack my weight is from my cardio. My cardio is how I lose all my weight. I do long, boring, hamster wheel exercises, bro. Just on the treadmill, on the spin bike, just grind it in out in the fat burning zone for a minimum. No exercise can be less than 45 minutes to activate the fat burning zone. So it's really, I just let the science do all the work, and in the gym, me and Dan, we sharpen up our skills and get ready for the fight.
Can you throw out a weight number, or is that confidential?
If you really want to know, I don't know.
Sure. Josesito, so Keith's been out of the ring for 2 years. He's faced a number of injuries. This seems like a chance of a lifetime for you. Just wondering if you can, talk about your confidence and motivation going into this fight.
Well, with him or without him being out of the ring for 2 years, it's still an opportunity. It doesn't change. We got you can say a fresh Keith Thurman that's gotten rehabilitated, got some surgeries that were probably giving him some problems lingering before. So if anything, we might see a better Keith Thurman than we've seen in recent years. So I'm not expecting a Keith Thurman that could be in a hurting situation as far as physical. I'm expecting a tough fight. I'm expecting the best Keith Thurman there is, and I'm preparing for it well. I've also been out of the ring in recent years for about the same amount of layoff, so I know what it feels like to be back for your first fight. And fortunately for me, he chose me. Unfortunately for him, he chose me. So we'll see January 26th how everything plays out.
Hey, man, Cameron Buford here at LA News Observer. I got a question for you both. Mr. Lopez, the Riverside Rocky, who gave you that name? How'd that come about? And then Mr. Thurman, you mentioned lifting weights in your training here. How much has lifting weights been a part of your training, not only for this fight, but for your previous fights?
What was the question again?
Riverside Rocky, how'd you get that name?
Well, it's just more than anything, it's my style. Back against the wall, underdog mentality. I could easily say I'm an underdog in life. I've achieved far more than what some people could expect. I live that lifestyle. After the Victor Ortiz fight, when nobody but my team and I thought that we could win, they gave me that nickname, Riverside Rocky. I'm in that same situation today. I'm going in against one of the toughest, best welterweights there is today, and not many are giving me a chance. And that's perfectly fine. I don't need anybody else to believe me. I don't need to prove to anybody else. I don't need to try to convince anybody else that I'm going to win. But on January 26th, I'm definitely going to give everything my all, give the all, and do my best to come out with that title.
It's been a long time since I've actively got into weights, so I'm really excited to partake back into some official strength training. I can see the results week by week. I'm only feeling stronger. I'm only feeling faster and better. Another thing too, not being active for 2 years, I'm in my prime. So I haven't been using these muscles of mine in my prime. So now that I'm lifting weights, I'm activating these prime muscles, and you're gonna see the results come January 26th.
Chris Conner here from the Fight City and Last Call. I got a question for each of you guys. We'll start with Josesito. Jose, you've been in wars. I mean, every fight you're in, whether it's Victor, whether it's Canelo, you take punishment to give punishment. That is who you are. Why keep fighting? You have money in the bank. You have a lovely wife. You have your senses. Is there a part of why keep doing fights where, win, lose, or draw, you're going to take a beating? That's the way you are and the way that you fight.
I love boxing. It's hard to stay away from boxing for me, especially when I feel like I'm at my best now. I've had some big battles throughout the years. I've been in this game for 15 years, so you can expect that. I fought some of the best, heaviest, hardest punchers there is in the boxing game. I'm not one to shy away from any battle, and same goes for this fight today. I got this opportunity, and I'm prepared for it. I feel like I'm at my best with my new trainer, Robert Garcia. He's not only sharpened up my skills, my defense, and I'm not going to say that he's turned me into a new fighter, but he's definitely turned me into a lot better fighter.
And Keith, this is to you. You and I have talked in the past. Forget about the mental, recovery in terms of wondering, will I break this? Will I injure this? You're happily married. You have money in the bank. I'm guessing these 2 years have been hell for you, just going through physical therapy, surgeries. Why do you do this? Why not just retire? You can do TV, maybe movies. Why do a sport where your body's been put through probably the ringer and more surgeries than a crash unit?
Look, I fought Danny Garcia with bone spurs. I fought, who did I fight? Diego Chavez with stitches in my hand. Nobody knows about that. Now you know. I mean, I've fought, man. I'm a fighter, You're talking to a world-class fighter. And like Josesito Lopez said, at the end of the day, man, a real fighter ends up getting addicted to the game. You get addicted to many things in life. But there's nothing in this life that's better than being in that arena under those lights and being a part of the action, baby. There's nothing better than that, And the legacy's not over, Yeah, I could have possibly been a Hall of Famer from unifying the belts with Danny Garcia, but that's not enough for me, Really, I've told you guys many times since the beginning of time, I got an O. I'm not afraid to let it go. If you can beat me, So ultimately, I'm just waiting for God to present to me a man that's better than me. I'm here on the journey to meet that better man on this planet. And, sadly enough, there might not be one.
Mark Lillenwaller, Sporting News. Keith, I know you're fully concentrated on this fight, but in 2019, do you feel like due to your absence, you need a fight with Crawford or Spence to prove that you're still a man in this division?
No. Look, what I need to do is come back in the ring, stay healthy, be active, have some great fights or some good fights this year. And I think, we'll possibly still save some of the great ones. We're still in our prime. There's still a little bit of time on the calendar. I like the year 2020, man. It just sounds really nice. It is an Olympic year. I like the year 2020 because 19 is the get-back year. 19, Keith Thurman has to remind you who Keith Thurman is, why Keith Thurman is one of the baddest mans at 147, why you need to always mention me when you mention the others, and, hopefully put my name first. At the end of the day, I'm here to make a statement that one time is back. I'm going to do hopefully 2 fights this year. And because of the long layoff, if I'm blessed, if it does not go into deep waters, if we're able to shut this show down early, in January, there's a lot of room for the rest of the year. I would love, deep down, 2 is enough, but I would love to sneak in 3 fights and just be back active so that I know that I can bring my best into the sport. I got 1 belt. I'm missing 1 belt. So that's on my mind this year in 2019 is to reestablish my own accomplishments and then move forward from there. there's a curveball with the Pacquiao fight, you know, who, if Pacquiao wins, how much longer does he want to fight? How much of a challenge does he want to step up to in the ring? Does he get a draw with AB? Do they fight 2, 3, 4, 5 times for the rest of both of their careers? Who knows? But that's a fight out there. What if Sean Porter loses to Ugas? Then Thurman wants his belt back. He's got to go see that Cuban, you know? So we take it one fight at a time. January 26th, Josesito Lopez, you know, Riverside Rocky, he says, I'm not going to be champion by the 27th, you know, so we got our eyes set on that. You know, handle this business and then ready to negotiate any form of business.
Hello, Jose and Keith. Good to see you guys. This question, first off, for Jose. Jose, you fought a lot of big punchers, a lot of skilled guys, Canelo, Berto, Porter. When you look at Thurman and you see the power and the size he is as a welterweight, how do you compare him compared to those other guys that you fought? And do you feel that he possesses more skills and something different compared to those other people you fought?
Well, you can't really compare power right now until I get in that ring, but I'm sure he's just as strong as those guys and just as skilled as all the fighters that I faced. He's a world champ for a reason. He's undefeated. He's never been defeated as a pro. So you got to give him his respect for that. You know, I'm expecting easily the best fighter that I faced. So I'm prepared for the best fighter. I've faced tough opposition. I'm continuing to face tough opposition. I'm ready for the best.
And Keith, how much of, is there a sense of urgency for you to remind everybody why you're called one time in this fight and the other fights?
I just want to put on a good show, showcase my skills and talent. When I box, I look like a champion, all right? The first day of sparring, coach said, you didn't lose nothing, boy. And, you know, it's in my blood. 23 years in the game, you know, over 10 years being a professional now. I mean, of course I want to make a statement. I want to make a big statement. One time wants to be one time. He wants to land that one time. And really, under my statistics, I've never gotten a knockout in the Barclays, so that pisses me off, you know. That pisses me off. Like we have some good fights. The fans come out. We put on a show. It's always electric, yet no one's hit the mat yet at the Barclays. So I am hoping to change that come the 26th.
Keith, so assuming, let's say all goes well and you were fortunate enough to get the win against Josesito Lopez, you mentioned 2019 being the year, the get-back year. What would the best possible way in your mind be that you can close out the year this time next year, 2019?
You know, it's just up in the air, you know. I look at the sport of boxing like a chessboard. You can see where the pieces are. You can know where your next move is, but you still got to wait for your opponent's next move. And in the sport of boxing, it's not just one-on-one. I make my move by winning on the 26th. Then all the other fighters got to make their moves by winning their fights on their scheduled dates, right? See, that's why it's so hard to play Miss Cleo. I don't know why you always want to predict the future. You know, the weatherman tell me that it's going to rain tomorrow and then it's sunny. I don't want to hear that, okay? You know what I'm saying? Watch this fight. This is the fight to watch. And then watch the other fights, and then let's see who starts talking, who starts calling who out, who really wants it, and what contracts I get presented with. That's what matters, you know. But like I said, part of the mission in the back of my mind is to get the strap back, you know. So you can guarantee that that will most likely happen. I can't say that it will happen, but, you know, it's more 60-40 than anything else. We're leaning towards getting that back so Keith one-time Thurman can be 2 times again.
And just to be clear, the belt that you want back would be the winner of the Ugas and Porter fight?
What belt did I own, son? I mean, what do you mean, just to be clear?
You said somebody owed you a belt.
Yeah, it's my belt, you know. Recently, I heard Sean Porter making a statement that it's unfair that I'm the mandatory. It's unfair that you call yourself champion without beating me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to hear that. I got business, and it doesn't matter who has that belt. I told Sean Porter in Fox Studios, don't lose, because you'll get a rematch with Danny. You know what I'm saying? You can get that Danny rematch. You lose, I'm going after my belt. I'm going after Ugas. I want my belt, you know? So that's why it's not about who I want to fight. It's about being active this year, reestablishing myself, and then getting bigger and better fights. The Sean Porter fight was Showtime's Fight of the Year. It's one of the best fights that has been put on here at the Barclays Center. You know, I believe that even if Ugas was to win, that's a new opponent. That's a new face. That's a new fight style. That's going to bring up new comments from all of y'all. You know what I'm saying? So that's why your boy One Time goes with the flow, man.
Keith, you keep on talking about wanting to get your WBC title back, it'll be a tough fight with Sean Porter. But how come you're not mentioning the IBF held by Errol or the WBO held by Terrence?
Because you're asking what I want to do right now.
Yeah, but you're only mentioning the WBC, though. Like, why won't you mention?
Right now, there's today, and then there's tomorrow, then there's a week from tomorrow, and a month from that, and 6 months from that. Bro, it takes time. It takes time. This isn't the amateurs. We're not going to fight 5 fights in a row in 1 week, right? So get my belt back. So I'll just elaborate for you. When I say after that, we're going after bigger and better things, that's the IBF and the WBO, okay? But what I care about first and foremost, once we get to that position, is wins the fight, what's the fight date, you know, camp, this and that, how long do I have to wait? You know, Spence is fighting sometime this year, you know, and then, you know, you got to see the outcome of that. You never know if, depending on the outcome of certain fights, if people want to do immediate rematches. So I just don't overstretch myself in my vocabulary. You ask me what I'm trying to do or what I want to do. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, okay? All right, thank you.
I go one more question, Keith. Yeah, okay.
Keith.
Two more.
Keith, how you doing? If the fight goes the way that you expect it to go, even if it goes 12 rounds, when ideally would you come back? Like what month would you come back to the ring?
You said if the fight doesn't go 12 rounds.
No, if it does.
Oh, if it does go 12 rounds. If the fight does go 12 rounds, you know what I mean? That's the beauty of fighting in January, is that we can still kind of squeeze 3 fights in this year if we feel like we want to push ourselves like that. And I'm going to have to consolidate my team. I'm going to have to assess my health, but we could do 3 fights. So, January, February, March, April, May, June, baby. After a 12-round fight, I can come back in June. July, August, September, October, November, baby. So you see what I just did right there. So after this fight, if I want to stay active, if I want to stay truly active, you might, quote, don't quote, you might, quote, don't quote, see your boy fight every 5 months. That is beauty to me.
5 times. Let's start calling you 5 times.
Every 5 months. You know what I mean? You're gonna see your boy Keith One Time Thurman. I think that's an excellent way to come back into the sport of boxing this year, to help remind everybody to work with the beautiful network that we have now, Fox, and to further build up the big fights. Okay, the real thing about why I don't go from here to there is because you don't know what it feels like to have 2 titles, okay? It's fucking awesome, all right? It's freaking amazing, all right? It's great, all right? So I want those 2 titles, and then when we fight Errol Spence, if we fight Bud Crawford. If they lose and we fight whoever beats them, Mikey Garcia, whomever, okay? It's Keith Thurman who's the unified champion, who's stepping up with all the belts. You know, I believe I'm the #1 welterweight, and I want to hold that position. What separated me from the rest of my competition was unifying. So I want to reestablish that I am the only unified champion, and then bigger and better things.
Keith, we've all talked about the physicality, and I lifted weights, and I'm prime, and I'm ready, and I come here to get my title back, and this, that, and the other. But I didn't hear anybody mention the psychological situation. A fighter's worst enemy is the rust. You can spar, you can run miles and miles of pump iron and all that, but it's getting back to that jungle where you got live audiences ready to eat you alive, and you're wondering, am I really back? Now, you can chip in, Josesito, because this psychologically could be an advantage for you. So what do you feel about what I'm just finished saying?
But who am I worried about? I'm worried about my rust. I'm worried about the fans cheering outside of the ring. What am I worried about? Because if I'm worried about me, I never worry about me. When it's time to go to work, I go to work. You know, after you throw 1,000 jabs and 1,000 right hands and 1,000 left hooks, I mean, how many thousand more do you need to throw? Do you feel like that feels right, you know? And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to throw thousands upon thousands before I hit him with one.
Josesito?
Well, I've been in this situation before, and I've been off from a layoff also. There is some ring rust, you know, especially being away from the ring, rehabbing. Mentally, you're not all there. You know, you're not quite satisfied or content with throwing the same punches. You know, you have a thought in the back of your mind if you should really throw it full power, or you're hesitant at times to throw.
No,
I've been there before.
No.
I'm not saying he's going to be in that situation, but I've been there before. I know the feeling. And whether it affects you or not, it is a thought in the back of your head. So we'll see January 26th.
And I'm Kristal Hart reporting from the Barclays Center here in Brooklyn, New York. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the fight.